Hello, I'm Jamila Musayeva, an international social etiquette consultant and author of etiquette books, Etiquette, the Least You Need to Know, and Afternoon Tea Etiquette. If you would like to order my books, please make sure to email me at info@jamilamusayeva.com. You can also find the email underneath in the description box. If you are a new viewer on my channel, welcome. Here I talk about etiquette, soft skills, self-development, all kinds of topics related to that. If you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. And if you're an old viewer, welcome back to my channel. I'm very delighted to see you here. As you all know, I love reading your feedback and comments and your video suggestions. So after my last video, a lot of you suggested that I do a video on how to become more disciplined, how to work on self-discipline, and I decided to deliver this video exactly on that topic. So first things first, let's understand what is discipline. Discipline are an amalgam of rules that help us go through a process. They could be imposed by someone, so it could be a discipline that's imposed by us, by society, family, friends, school, or it could be self-imposed. In that case, that's called a self-discipline, which is something that is much more difficult to train in yourself, but it's the one that brings the most rewards. The good news about being self-disciplined is that discipline is a kind of a trait that is not inborn. So we're not born with this really. Very perhaps few people are born with that gene that helps you become disciplined easily. It's not the kind of a trait that you are, the color of your eyes or the texture of your hair. It's something that you can work on in order to grow in yourself. So in a way, when we think about it, discipline is something that could be acquired and learned over the years. That is the good news. But the bad news is that there's no one to blame. You have the full responsibility on your shoulders to make yourself self-disciplined. Discipline is a beautiful trait that can transform anyone from an amateur to a master. And there's actually this quote that has been my favorite in the last couple of months, and it says, "Every master was once a disaster." And I wrote this quote in my planner and I look at it every day. Whenever I start up a new class, whenever I take on a new skill, I can get discouraged in the middle when something is not working the way I thought it would. And then I look at that quote and I'm like, okay, I just need to work a little bit more, and over time, I can also become a master. Speaking of taking new classes, if you have been with me on my YouTube journey since the very beginning, you've probably read my About section where I talk about myself being a huge advocate of education beyond classroom. And I advocate for self-improvement and self-growth and self-development. And I think increasing your skill set and your know-how is really the key to doing that. I have myself been a really long time user of Skillshare, so it was an honor for me when they approached me to do a collaboration with them. They're actually the sponsors of today's video, so thank you Skillshare for that. What is Skillshare? Skillshare is an online community where they offer really a lot of different kind of creative, interesting educational classes that spans across all kinds of different fields. On Skillshare, you can find classes on gardening, lifestyle, illustration, film, photography, marketing, finance, you name it, they have it all. I just recently signed up for 3 classes: Doodling for Relaxation by Sharon Stevens, Find Your Style by Andy Pizza, and Portrait Photography by Jessica Kobesi. The first 1,000 viewers who sign up for Skillshare using my code or my link in the description will get 1 month of free trial of Skillshare, so you can start exploring creativity today. Now that I have signed up for 3 additional classes on Skillshare, apart from those that I've already taken, and given the fact that I'm self-employed, it's super important that I remain self-disciplined. I need to deliver videos on time, I need to deliver content on my Patreon page on time, I need to take my classes as I've scheduled, I need to offer workshops when I have scheduled them. So it's super important that I remain self-disciplined. I generally consider myself a very disciplined person, but before it was something that was imposed to me by others, whereas now it's something that I need to self-impose so that I can get my goals accomplished, my projects accomplished on time. I have accumulated a lot of rules for myself over the years that have definitely worked for me. Again, you might find that some of these rules applicable to you or not. This is something that you have to decide for yourself. So these are not just the rules I've read in a book and that may or may not work. These are the rules that have actually helped me, and I hope that by sharing it with you, they can help you as well. The number one rule that has helped me tremendously in my life is writing down my goals, my wishes, my tasks, my schedule on paper in a planner. It is important for me to see what I have to accomplish on paper. As soon as I write it down on paper, it kind of relieves my mind off of the task in my mind, and then I have this call to action on paper. What also really helps me is finding visuals, images on Pinterest. That's where I usually go for references of the imagery that I associate with that goal, that task, or that dream. Let me give an example. For example, I want to create a really clean, neat office desk at where I work. I have this image in my mind of how I want it to feel, and then I go on Pinterest, I look it up, I find reference images that will inspire me to create that kind of a similar space. So I get ideas from here and there, and I have written down that task to create an inspiring workplace, for example, and then I put those images together in the album on my phone, either on my favorites or my dreams, or I create a special folder for that, and then I continuously go back to that folder, look at that task, look at the images, and really bring that idea. I don't know if it's magic, if it's universe aligning with your thoughts, whatever you believe in, but that truly, truly works. When you can juxtapose a call for action with an image that you aspire to create, together that brings an emotion in you that then takes you into action, and then you get it done. The example that I gave you was really just about cleaning your workspace. It could be about working out. You could write in your diary that I want to work out 3 times a week, and then you could find reference images of beautiful bodies that you want to look like or want to create for yourself. It could be, having a beautiful home and then finding the images that suit in your head to that image of a perfect home. Thank God we have Pinterest nowadays and a lot of different images available for us that we can save and screenshot and really refer to those images whenever we want to feel inspired, and that will motivate you and give you that kind of a discipline that you need to get it accomplished. The second rule that has helped me a lot to remain disciplined and to get things done is to always start from smaller tasks. The tasks that are requiring less amount of energy, or the ones that you do with most amount of joy, something that doesn't have much friction for you to start. I used to think, or I was before told that, start from the homework that was most difficult, and then you go for the homeworks that require less amount of energy. I realized over the time that didn't work for me. What works for me is always starting from little things that keep on nagging your mind and keep on lingering there, that you have to get it done. Get it done first because it requires less amount of energy and there's less friction between you and the task, so you don't keep on postponing it and delaying it all the time. Get it done. Once you get it done, it's off of your planner. You see this little tick on the side, and that makes you feel good about yourself. And that really puts you into a mood of someone who gets things done. So I say it's a mood of a doer, that I can do it. If I have accomplished already 2 things on my to-do list, I can keep on going. That creates this really good energy, so you can continue taking on bigger and bigger tasks. Self-discipline is very much tied to willpower, and both work like a muscle. The more you use it, the better you become at it. To me, understanding that self-discipline works like a muscle, it's important not to overload it with too many activities or too many tasks at once. Because when you impose on yourself a lot of difficult tasks at once, it's very difficult for you to get started. Imagine that you've never worked out and you force yourself to do 50 squats. You'll either never do it or do it once and never again. For you to be self-disciplined, you need to start loading on yourself little tasks at once and then achieving them, therefore gradually building it up in yourself. When you overload yourself with too many tasks, you will either burn out mentally or you'll never be able to build the self-discipline. One of my favorite books is Make Your Own Bed, and the whole idea of this book is not just about the importance of making your bed in terms of your room looking neat or being very organized. But the core idea is that when you start your day by making your bed, you feel a lot more empowered. You feel like you have done one task off of your to-do list. So that puts you into this mindset that I can do things, I have control over things. The same way works with checking off your list with tasks. Always starting from smaller ones and gradually going for bigger ones will help you become more self-disciplined over time. The third rule that I live by is optimizing my life in the way that I can reduce the friction between myself and the activity that I have to do. This allows me to stay self-disciplined for a really long time because whatever I set my mind to do, it becomes part of my life, and then it just I don't have to impose too much of willpower to really start doing it. Let me give an example. Let's say you intend to finish reading 2 books per month, and you need to have a lot of self-discipline to get it done in 1 month, to finish 2 books in 1 month. What I recommend you do is you place the books at your eyesight and make them easily accessible, reachable at your arm's grasp. What I would suggest to do is to have the book with you at places where you frequent the most. Let's say put it on your bedstand, carry it in your bag, leave it in your car. So whenever you're stuck in traffic or you're waiting for someone in the car, you can read a couple of pages. You carry it in your bag, so whenever you're sitting and waiting for your appointment, you can open the book and read it. Whenever that book is reachable and accessible to you, you're most likely to consume it. The same rule applies to every different aspect of your life. So whenever you have less friction between you and the action, whenever whatever action that you need to take is reachable, accessible at your eyesight, you're most likely to get it done. The most important rule when it comes to staying self-disciplined is not comparing yourself to anyone else, be it someone who's absolutely not self-disciplined. You comparing yourself to them is not healthy, neither you comparing yourself to someone who has perhaps a lot more self-discipline than you. You are you, and you are on your path of self-improvement. So don't compare your day 0 with someone's day 100 or someone who hasn't even gotten started. This can take you off the track. What you need to do is compare your daily results only with your own self. However, this is not to say that comparison is always bad, that it's unhealthy, because sometimes a good amount of comparison is actually healthy, and in a way it ignites the fire in you to really start doing something and really get working. What I meant is not comparing your amount of self-discipline to someone else's. What I do recommend though is finding role models or mentors or people you aspire to be like in their sense of self-discipline. I consider myself a very disciplined person, but I know people that are a lot more disciplined than I am, and I always look up to those people and I aspire to be like them. This doesn't mean that I compare myself to them, I just look up to them and hope to also achieve that level of self-discipline one day. And the final rule when it comes to self-discipline is not waiting for the perfect moment, day, Monday to arrive so you can start working on it. It's not something that can miraculously come to your life and happen to you. It's something that you need to initiate, that you need to work on, that you need to build up, almost like a muscle. And I am a person that has lived through this. I know what it means to work on your self-discipline. I remember that when I was a student in university, I always wanted to work out, but I always thought, okay, when the midterms are over, when exams are over, when my thesis is over, I'll start working out. And then the 4 years passed by without me ever frequenting the gym. Now as an adult, self-employed, I have a lot of projects going on, but I've scheduled and put into my work the amount of times that I need to go to the gym, work out, and this is something that I don't do because I want to do, it's something that I make myself do, but after doing it, I feel so much more proud of myself. And before I was the one who waited for the perfect day to arrive, and now I'm the person who, as soon as I have this idea, I put it down on paper and I just get started. I do not wait for the perfect day or time to arrive. To support this point, I want to share a quote that I personally love, and that says, if you don't make time for it, the time for it will never come. And that is very true and very applicable to anything that we do in life. To finalize today's video, I want to say that, there's this idea of the kind of life that we aspire to have. So these are our dreams and wishes. There is this emotions that we feel about something. There's this action in the middle. And between those emotions and those actions is self-discipline, which is the channel that helps us get things done so then we can see our dreams and wishes come true. No success can happen overnight, and very few that do rarely last long. The good news is that everyone can be successful and accomplish, granted that we work on our self-discipline. And the good news is that we can all learn that. If I could become self-disciplined, so can you. I hope that this video will help and inspire you and motivate you to work on your self-discipline. And please do let me know down in the comment section below what are some of your video suggestions, and I'll be more than happy to film new videos for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!